Peace family, it's Jocelyn, your digital loctician. Can you believe we are already in the month of September? Like, this is blowing my mind. If you are new to the channel, my goal is to help you cultivate the healthiest set of locks possible and make sure that you understand that you can do that holistically. Don't have to be all slick back, gel down, all that stuff. So if that is what you are striving to do along your lock journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's September, y'all, and I'm located in Maryland, and so we experience the 4 seasons, which I've come to learn a lot of places actually do, experience the weather changes. It might not be always sunny and hot, or it may not always be cold and rainy. Like, you actually have some ups and downs when it comes to the weather. Same thing applies when it comes to your hair. You might have some good days, some good seasons where your locks feel nice and moisturized, and you might have some other seasons where they kind of brittle, kind of ashy a little bit. And today's episode, we're going to be covering why your locks are dry because you're using the wrong moisturizer. Now, this is something that I've talked about several times before, and it's a conversation that I'm going to continue to bring up because for so long, we have been taught the wrong way to think of moisture and think about our hair care. We have been taught the wrong way to think of moisture and think about our hair care because of commercials, because of now the insertion of social media, and the unfortunate lack of education when it comes to our hair through traditional means like cosmetology school or beauty school. And so those bad habits, they perpetuate. And so I'm coming from a standpoint where it's really not your fault. Like, you didn't know what you didn't know. And so I want to do my best to make it clear and help you to understand why your locks are dry, and specifically how using the wrong type of moisturizer has caused that to happen. Now, I shared a short about lock porosity and hair porosity, and one of the biggest questions is, how do you know what the porosity of your locks are? And unfortunately, it's not as easy as popping a strand of hair out like you would with your loose natural and dropping it in some water. Ours is a little bit more complicated because our locks are not just made up of the hair that is growing right now. Our locks are actually made up of that shed hair and the hair that's actively growing. So we have a different situation, which again is why I always tell you that most products that are for like loose natural hair or just hair in general don't cater to the needs of locked hair. So understanding your porosity is important. And then when it comes to picking your moisturizer, it also matters kind of where you are on the spectrum of your scalp health and also the health of your hair. So, for example, someone who has color treated hair versus someone who's never colored their hair, or someone that is constantly shampooing their hair because they have a scalp condition, is going to be a little bit different than someone who is shampooing their hair once a month. So really understanding what your situation is going to determine where you want to look with moisturizers. Now, getting into the different types, I'm going to cover them briefly, but if you want more in-depth, definitely make sure you head over to my blog, digitalloctician.com. I will put it in the description box. I go into all the details about the moisturizers, okay? So real quick, we have 4 main types: our astringent, our refreshing, our conditioning, and our herbal. These are the categories of moisturizers, and so every moisturizer can be kind of put into one of these buckets. A few characteristics of like a refreshing moisture, as an example, it's just meant to refresh. So it's mostly water, maybe a little fragrance added into it. Whereas an herbal moisturizer, it is made literally with herbs, unlike a refreshing moisturizer, which is water and essential oils. Okay, see the difference? And then you have your conditioning moisturizer, which of course is going to give you more of those oils, like carrier oils, mixed with the water, because all moisturizers, I probably should have started there, all moisturizers are based in water, okay? Oil is not a moisturizer, right? Y'all know that? We good? Somebody put that in the comments just so, we can make sure we're on the same page. Oil is not a moisturizer, okay? And then when you get to your astringent moisturizer, that is more so geared for the scalp to help cleanse, to help soothe, to help remove things that may be trapped on the scalp in between your shampoos. All right. So with those 4 different types, the reason why your locks are dry is because a lot of people reach for that conditioning moisturizer before they have actually hydrated their hair. And there's a difference between hydration and moisture. We're not going to get into that today, but if your locks are not hydrated and you're just trying to put a bunch of oils, remember oils are in conditioning moisturizers, oil sitting on top of oil because they don't mix will in fact make your hair more dry. So if your hair is really dry, conditioning moisturizer is not the first step. Okay, your locks may also be dry because you're reaching for that refreshing moisturizer. I can't tell you, okay, not to say I don't know, but we're not gonna get into that because this is a safe space. But I know a lot of people that are filling spray bottles with tap water, sink water, and spraying it into their hair. That's a no-no. Your tap water has a lot of mineral deposits in it. That's gonna cause your hair to be very brittle and dry. So don't use that. Never tap water, okay? So that refreshing moisturizer and the conditioning moisturizer are the 2 that I feel like most negatively impact people's journeys because it's not enough or it's too much, all right? So the sweet spot tends to be right there in that herbal moisturizing category with things like your rose water, rosemary water, things that are steeped with herbs and have limited carrier oils in it, okay? So it's not a lot of olive oil or shea oil or castor oil added into that formula. Are you with me? Does that make sense? Press a 2 if that makes sense. Press a 3 if you're like, girl, what is you talking about? Just let me know if this was helpful. And we're gonna continue this conversation. So if you have questions based on what I've shared so far, definitely put those in the comments below. We're going to be following this up with part 2 of our series, Your Locks Are Dry Because. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, I am wishing you peace, love, and goodbye.